Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Calhoun's. Folks, the Vols host Florida on Wednesday, and if you're looking for a place to eat and you're not going to Calhoun's on the river before the game, check out Calhoun's location in Thompson Bowling Arena. Pulled pork sandwiches, barbecued nachos, the whole deal, a taste of Tennessee at Tennessee. Calhoun's at Thompson Bowling Arena. Look for it while you're over there on Wednesday night. All right. I want to talk about some of the biggest issues facing the Vols. We'll throw out some numbers and see if these stats explain anything. Maybe they're just stats and you get a good eye full of some stuff that maybe you wouldn't have seen elsewhere. Then we're going to talk about, let's just dive right in. Rather than telling you what we're going to do, let's just do it. First of all, Vols and assists. Okay, now this is all the SEC games and Iowa State. Okay, so since Iowa State was played in the middle of the SEC games, I've included it. 15-game stretch. For the previous 12, Tennessee was averaging 16 assists per game. These last 3 games, when they haven't played as well, down to 10 assists per game. Over that 15-game stretch, they are 5-4 when they record 14 or fewer assists. They're 5-1 when they record 15 or more assists. Next one, this one talks more about the opponents. Rebounds, all right? During the previous 12 games, the opponents had averaged 32.5 rebounds per game. During the last 3 games, that's bumped up to about 36 rebounds per game. Look at this number, though. When Tennessee allows 34 rebounds or more, they're only 2-4. They're 8-1 when they allow 33 rebounds or fewer. So that's one to watch. It's a pretty big number jump there. Again, that's the last 15 games. And now let's look at opponents scoring. Even more interesting here. During the previous 12 games, Tennessee had given up 67.5 points. That's jumped up more than 5 points per game over the last 3 when they haven't played as well. But look at this. Over the last 15 games, they're 1-4, allowing 68 points or more, 9-1, allowing 67 points or fewer. Over on the far right, those are the numbers for the entire season. When they have allowed 68 points or more, they're only 4-6. When they've held a team to 67 or fewer, they are 15-1, with the only loss being Gonzo Martin and Missouri on the road. You want to be watching that 67, 68 point mark. Yeah. You don't want anybody getting over 67. It makes you question their offense a little bit when you look at that. It's obviously when their defense is playing, they got a much better chance of winning when they're holding somebody down. Mark, we were talking in that last segment about all the things that were wrong. You mentioned in between segments here that, 1 or 2 plays here or there. It's not like that game was complete blowout start to finish. There are little plays in there that might have turned it the other way. One that stood out to you.
Yeah, we've talked about the different segments of the season. There's segments in the game, and one of them was that right on that 6-minute mark, Tennessee had the ball down 2. We had, I think it was a 3-point attempt, but we had about 3 or 4 offensive rebounds in that possession that then we got some other good shots that we just missed. Georgia goes down to the other end and gets an and one, and all of a sudden that 2-point game, or potentially we would even have had the lead, becomes a 5-point deficit. And so we're right there on the road in a position to win, and it didn't go our way, and a lot of that was our own doing. But it wasn't like the Arkansas game or the Auburn game when it was just a blowout from start to finish.
Right. Isaiah, as a former Vol, if I put you in the locker room over there with those guys, if I gave you a couple minutes along with them, player to player, what do you talk to them about?
Just winning. Win is all you're trying to do, and older fella told me that win equals what is next. So no matter how high you get, no matter how low you get, you try to stay even keel. But if you played a bad game or you played a great game, just take the business-like approach and see what's next. We got spanked pretty good at Georgia. Alabama beat us. So what? I mean, you go watch the film, you get better from it, you listen to your coach, and you turn every game into a fight. You see the rebounding thing, that's fighting, and everybody that talks about offense, and I'm always like, well, we're a defensive team, so offense is going to come and go. And that was an interesting stat, because if we hold people under 67 points, then we're 15-1 in the last 16 games. So that's a testament to that. So focus on the defense, focus on turning it into a battle, and I think we'll wind up, we'll do well.
All right. Very good. We'll talk more about how well they'll do. Will they get one of those double buys, and how will they do against Florida? We'll have these guys back to do a little scouting report later in the show. But next, 2 new guys, or 2 of our regular guys, rotate in. They're new for today's panel. They'll rotate in, and we'll be talking about the staff changes on Jeremy Pruitt's inaugural staff. We didn't expect them. Let's discuss them. Come on back.